As managers of our national newspaper, we consider the following situation. One of our top foreign correspondents, Mike Harris, has been reporting on events in a country at war. To get his history, he went behind enemy lines and was kidnapped. In the operation to rescue him, one of the rescue team was killed and two were seriously injured. Harris is known to be one of our best foreign correspondents in the world. However, he has been widely criticized in national press because of the unnecessary risk he took to get his history. He had been advised by local officials that it was extremely unwise to go into such a hostile territory. But even though this happened, he ignored the warning. Keeping this in mind, now we are holding a meeting to decide the following things: how to deal with criticism, which are harming our newspaper's image.
I think the important thing to deal with the criticism is to let people know that the newspaper attempt as possible as it was to keep the correspondents safe, but giving the correspondents the autonomy to decide if they take a risk to take a story. It is important to indicate that the newspaper decided to send the rescue team because even if the journalists make the decision despite the warning, it's a person who deserves this help, and it needs to be clarified that the person from the rescue team also knew about the risk. Another thing that could help to deal with this is to get people focused on the positive things that the newspaper has done and to highlight the job of the journalist and how, despite the rest this career has, they do as possible to let people know the truth and the reality about what's happening around the world, and that the rescue teams are heroes that are willing to do everything to save a life. For last, I think we should show people that this was an unfortunate event and that they then that we will do as possible so it will happen again.
Yeah, I see your point, Paula, but I think the best way to deal with criticism is when you're part of a national newspaper to always give the readers your side of the story. Do not ever let something just pass out without commenting on it, because it will give room to people or other correspondents to talk about the situation in a way it did not happen. So it is important to always give the side of the story, even if it is not as good as it could be. For example, Mike's Harris case, when he clearly went too far with this story and that decision he made, even when everyone, including the newspaper, told him it was too risky, made him go through that situation and risk other people's life. Still, he works for our newspaper and it is one of the best correspondents. We have to clarify he made the wrong decision, but we stand by his side and take responsibility for what happened as a team we are. Not just leave him alone and make him face the situation as a regular person and not a foreign correspondent of our newspaper.
Well, I have such a different position regarding this situation. I think that a journalist that goes to a place in war specifically, even taking into account the fact that it's really dangerous, it just means that he's more than 100% committed with not only his profession, but also with the newspaper he works with us in this case. And also, I think that the best kind of journalism is this one, the one that is completely real. When a person goes into the real situation and actually gets involved in it, in this case, the war in this country. And this way, the perspective that he's showing to the viewers is completely honest and real. I see the point that he's representing our company. However, I don't think it's such a bad thing that someone takes risks on his profession. It is a decision that he is the only one able to take it. And also, I think it's quite brave to have this kind of decisions on behalf of journalism. Also, I think the viewers and the people deserve to know real stories, and I think this is the only way to get them, even taking risks.
Yeah, I understand your point, Natalia, but I also think that the best way to show a story is actually living it. But when you're told not to go somewhere because it is too dangerous, not only for you, but also for other people that do not want to go there, but they have to do it because of your decisions, and then someone actually dies because of what you did, I think that's different. And I think Mike should have considered that before doing the thing he did. And now, like, people are dying and some people are injured because of what he did.
I agree with you, Alejandra. I think Mike should have considered the risk in this particular situation was too high. But I also agreed with Natalia when she points out the commitment of the journalist with his profession. But still, he made the wrong decision and the consequences were very serious.
Okay, I think to conclude, we all think that the best way to deal with criticism is to clarify the information and give the reader your side of the story. It doesn't matter if it is bad or good. We have to always face the consequences of the scandals regarding to decisions of the newspaper team. Okay, now let's discuss whether to discipline Mike Harris for his behavior.
Well, unfortunately, I think it is appropriate to discipline Mike Harris and suspend him temporarily of reporting some of the events, especially the one that carries more risk. Also to help him understand that he must put his safety and his life before a story.
Yeah, I agree with Paula. As I said before, I think what Mike Harris did was wrong. He was told by us and the local officers not to go behind enemy lines, and he still did it just to get a good story. We understand that as a great correspondent and journalist he will do anything to get a good story, but this was just too far. As a professional, you have to set a line when you know what you're doing is just to fulfill your personal goals and be proclaimed the best, or to be called by people, wow, he's so risky, not other correspondent does that, and that it cannot become a selfish personal goal, as I think the situation became for him. He went there without permission, not only risking his own life, that should be his number one priority, but also risking other people's life, and unfortunately, a man died because of that selfish decision. And also made the newspaper have bad criticism because of what he did. I think he must give a public explanation to the readers and family of the people that got injured and the family of the men that died, apologize and face the consequences of his actions, as I think he should not longer work for us until he understands how selfish his decision was.
Well, I think it's not necessary to discipline Mike Harris, and not this way. Even though he took such a big risk, and I understand the positions you have. However, I do think that he was doing something, with bad intention or selfishness, or that he was willing to hurt other people's lives. And after the circumstance and what he experienced by himself, I think it should be more than enough to make him realize about the mistake he made, and to understand that he could take less risks in order to get that kind of stories that I think are really good for the audience, and because this is what he wants to show. So I think risking his and other people's lives is definitely not necessary, and is not the correct way to approach people. But I think it's not necessary to make him quit his job, or I think it's not that bad.
Okay, I think in conclusion, we all know that what Mike did was a bad decision, and he must face the consequences of this one. Some of us think he should take a break from being a journalist and think about what happened, and then maybe come back and continue with his job. We think it's important that he gives an explanation and an apology to the families of the man who died and the people injured.
I think that's the end of our meeting. Thank you so much.
Well, girls, thanks to you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Bye.